I am not paying back my student loan. The government need to learn financial responsibility. Because how are you lending an 18-year-old that's unemployed £9,000 a year for 3 years? I'm going to stop paying my taxes too because that's just a stupid investment.
A lot of people are starting to question the logic behind student loans. Why are we taking on tens of thousands of dollars in debt straight out of high school without fully understanding the long-term impact? Some have decided they're not going to pay it back, or they only make the minimum payments knowing the interest will keep piling up. It's less about laziness and more about frustration with a system that feels impossible to beat. But is that the right mindset to have? Or are we setting ourselves up for bigger problems later?
I want to talk about student loans real quick because I just found out something that is so frustrating. This is my current student loan balance, $21,444. My original amount was $28,500. So you can see I've already paid off around $7,000 worth of my student loans, which yes, I am really proud of. But I felt like I was doing everything correctly, and today I called up my student loan servicer, Ed Financial, and I said, hey, I just want to make sure that my overage that I am paying every month, because the amount that they quoted me that I should be paying towards my student loans every month is $250, at least somewhere around there. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to pay $500 a month. I'm going to double it and pay $500 a month, so I'm paying off that principal faster. And while yes, I'm paying off that principal a little bit faster, the lady that I spoke with on the phone told me that I can't actually choose where that payment goes. So even though I'm paying $250 extra, I can't say put that amount towards my principal. And the reason being that these numbers that they set saying, here, this is the suggested amount that we think that you should pay towards your student loan, is usually only really covering the bare minimum. And the reason that they do this is so that you're still accruing interest. And if you have unpaid interest because you're paying so low on your loans, that interest will then start accruing interest. And even though you're making these payments, your loan amount is going to keep going up because the interest accrues interest, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So I went in and looked, and you can see here, this is my last payment. I paid $500, $318 of that went towards my principal, around $181 went towards my interest. And if you can see here, back in October, I paid $223 in interest, which is only $25 less than my payment. And so I asked her on the phone, I said, hey, what's going on with that? And she said, you actually have unpaid interest. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what, that makes sense. But I didn't realize my interest was accruing interest because I have these unsubsidized loans. So even though I graduated in 2020, right into a forbearance period, this still had interest from when I was in college. So I said, okay, great. That's definitely my bad. I didn't really realize that. But can I pay that unpaid interest now so that it stops accruing more interest? And she said, actually, no. Just like the fact that you can't go in and say, put this money towards my principal, you also can't go in and say, okay, put this money towards my unpaid interest. So even though today I have $229 of unpaid interest, I can't say, here, Ed Financial, here's $229 to cover that unpaid interest. So that unpaid interest will continue accruing interest until my loans are completely paid off. And this is the root of the entire problem right here. It is my money. It is my loan. I should be able to say where it goes. Obviously within reason. I understand it's a loan. I understand it's accruing interest, but if I have unpaid interest, I should be able to say, here is the money. Please pay the interest. Or just be transparent with me about where my money is going, what is supposed to be paid, and how to pay it.
Honestly, maybe they should start taking money from your paychecks and your refunds to pay back your student loans. Nobody forced y'all to go to college.
Maybe you should have got off your mama's couch, but nobody's questioning your decisions that you made in life. And those of you guys who are wondering why it's so difficult for people to pay their student loans back, how about I break it down for you right now? Imagine being 17 and 18 years old, going into college and getting forced to take out a student loan because you were told that in order to make it in life, you have to better yourself by going to school and getting an education. When you go get that education and now you're landing the job and you get the job and then they tell you you need 5 to 10 years of experience to then work this job. And oh, by the way, we're going to pay you minimum wage damn near the same amount you would make if you did not go to school. So now you're an educator, can barely pay your bills, can barely pay to put food on your table, and now you have to pay back student loans that they told you to go to school for so you can have an education, just for your education to slap you in the face and tell you that your education is not enough and actually you need years of experience, and then we're going to also pay you minimum wage. If you needed to know why people are struggling to pay their student loans, ask yourself this question. Why would anyone give a loan? Why would anyone give an $80,000 loan to a 17, 18-year-old who has no credit history and tells them that they need to pay it back? And oh, sure, let's blame the parents who can barely afford to get their kids in school, but they're doing everything they can, but yet it is not enough. And then you ask yourself, why is it so many people that aren't paying their loans and why they're not paying their bill? No one told them to get an education. No one told you to sit on your ass and stay at home and eat fucking pizza every day. No, we did what we needed to do so that way your kids can have somewhere to go to school, so that way your kids can have someone to teach them, so that way your kids have a nurse that can take care of them, so that way if something breaks down in your house, somebody can come fix it. People can barely afford to pay for their groceries. The decisions people made when they were 17, 18, 19, they thought they were bettering themselves. They thought that they could pay for their loan. And quite frankly, putting those type of responsibility in a child's hand who just graduated high school is wild. Meanwhile, shoving down their throat the importance of education and how if you don't get an education, you cannot get a job to take care of your family. But yet that same education is not paying for you to take care of your family. And you're wondering why people are struggling. Instead of getting on this internet and blaming people for taking out a loan, why not understand?
I think it's funny for me how so many people, so many students are worried about paying off their student loans, worried about debt and all this stuff. Well, for me, I really don't care. For me, it's just something that just it's in the back of my mind that I have more important things to worry about than student loans. I remember this one conversation I had with my professor. He was saying that like he would spend 2 to 3 years in his fiance's parents' basement just to pay off some of his student loans, right? And to me, it's like, why? You know, like I understand you want to pay off your student loans as fast as you can and all that stuff, but for me, like, who says you wouldn't die in those 2 to 3 years, right? Like, who says you won't get that car accident, who a plane crash, or like anything bad happened to you due to those 2 to 3 years wasting your life trying to pay off something that really doesn't matter at the end. Like, I have a lot of student loan debt, but to me, I really don't care because what matters most to me is living life through school, living life with my friends, my family, and all that stuff. That's what's more important to me, not staying in someone else's basement or staying in my mom's basement just so I can pay off student loans and just live in this shelter for 2 to 3 years out of my life. And to me, that's not what living is supposed to be. If that's what you want, then go ahead. But for me, I don't care. I don't care about student loans. I can pay that stuff for the rest of my life. I could not care. I care about living life as best as I can. You guys can call me crazy, but I don't know. That's just me. But what do you guys think?
I keep seeing student loan debt videos and how, you know, it's going into collections and everybody needs to start paying their shit back. And there's people in the comments talking about we don't mind to pay it back. We just don't want to pay the interest and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm trying to figure out who the fuck is the we in this equation. Because not I. Not I. I don't want to pay none of it back. And I mean none of it. Interest or not, I don't want to pay it back. I don't know. I just feel like I shouldn't even be in this country. School should be free. Y'all don't want to. That's my reparations. You giving me free fucking school. Yeah. Free education is my reparations. Y'all don't want to give me nothing else. Take that student loan debt and shove it up your ass. I don't want to pay it back. I really don't. Interest or not. Y'all can keep that because, baby, I do not want to pay none of it back. Even if they take away the interest, I don't want to pay it back. Y'all got it.
Has any other millennial just decided that they're not paying off their debt? That there's just no point? They're not paying off the student loans. They're not addressing the medical bills. You're not addressing the credit card debt. You don't give a fuck about debt to income ratio. You're just deciding that you're not going to do. I don't want a $600 to $700, $800, $900 car note. I don't. I have a 2013 Kia. It's paid for. I don't want that car note. I have decided that I do not need to use my credit. If I can't buy it cash, I don't need to dip into this realm of basically saying you can't afford it, so use your credit until you're able to pay it off. I don't want to live an aesthetically pleasing lifestyle. If that's you, that's you. Hustle culture has taken up a majority of my life, and I don't want any part of it anymore. Chasing the next dollar, I do not want to do. Trying to pay off my debt, credit utilization tools, FICO score, I don't want any part. And I just decided that, like, even when my kids get old enough to move out, I'm like, I'm just going to fucking downsize, bitch. I might live out of a fucking car. Like, I don't even care at this point. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Mine is behind me. Mine is pretty much behind me. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to participate anymore. I don't want to participate in whatever this fucking is. I'm only going to put into the economy what I benefit out of it, which are necessities. And if it's not a necessity, I do not want any parts of it. I don't need it. And I'm damn sure not going to use credit to get it, because credit's just another way of saying you can't afford it. You're basically living out of your means right now. And that's why you're using your credit until you're able to pay it off. You're using your credit because you don't have the cash right now. And if you did have it, you wouldn't use credit. I don't want it. Fuck the debt. I'm over it.
I'm not paying my student loans. The government keeps threatening all these things they're going to do to people if they don't pay their student loans. I don't think they realize we don't care. We don't have enough to care. We don't care about credit scores anymore. We don't care if you siphon our paychecks. We're just going to quit and move on to the next company, because that company was probably going to fire us anyway. People don't stay at jobs like they used to. People aren't locked in to a job they have to stay at for 35 years because they're getting a pension and great benefits. Those things don't happen anymore. So if you threaten to siphon people's paychecks, they're just going to quit and go to another company, because that company was probably going to go bankrupt anyway and fire everybody in the next couple months. This is going to be so much work for the government to siphon paychecks, and it's not going to get them enough money. They're going to end up losing money because they're going to have to hire thousands of people to try and get this money from people that don't have it. They're going to end up spending more money than they get in the long run. So these empty threats that they're giving us, they aren't scaring us. If the government's watching, it doesn't scare us. We don't have enough for that to scare us. So I won't pay the hospital then if you take my student loans out of my check. It's one or the other. We pay our health care and our medical bills, or we pay our student loan bills, or our credit cards, or our loans. Like, we can't pay it all. We're not making enough to pay it all. We're not sitting back and living in mansions, going on 20 vacations a year like the billionaires and saying, I don't want to pay my student loans. That's not it. We literally can barely afford life. We're just choosing which bills to pay. And the student loan one was taken off of the plate. I have less. Back when I was paying my student loans and the economy was a little better, I had more money back then, even with paying the student loans. I have less money now, and you want to take the student loans on top of it. I can't even be nervous about it because I can't afford it. I don't know what you're going to take from me, but whatever you take, that means I'm not going to pay something else because I don't have that kind of money. My job just doesn't pay that. Just doesn't.
So this is what happens if you don't pay your student loans. So a couple years ago, I was in college and I had to get some federal student loans. I got kicked out of ROTC. It's a long story, but I needed the loans to finish my film studies degree. Now, when I got these loans, I was told that it was financial aid. Now, I don't know what you think the definition of aid is, but I had no idea you were supposed to pay them back. I didn't find out till I got out of school and I started getting emails about making payments and shit. I thought it was a scam, so I blocked the email and deleted everything. And I was getting phone calls and shit too. I was really annoying. Anyway, didn't make any payments for like a year. And apparently there's something called like a default. At least that's what the federal agent that showed up at my door told me happened to my loan. And I was like, what are you gonna do? Drag me to federal prison? Come on, be real. He's like, we're gonna garnish your wages, we're gonna take your tax return. I was like, I don't get any of that anyway. I got a film studies degree. There are no wages to garnish. So anyway, I tried filing for bankruptcy and that didn't even work.
I literally had to pull over because the Senate just passed the big, beautiful bill, and it's going to affect so many people who were planning on relying on student loans in order to pay for their college tuition. If you're a family that was going to take out federal student loans, this impacts you. If you're an undergraduate, this impacts you. If you are a graduate student, this impacts you. For undergraduate students, Parent Plus loans never used to have any type of cap or limitation on them. Now it's going to be capped to $65,000 per child. For graduate students, Grad Plus loans are no longer a thing, which that used to allow you to cover your full cost of attendance to attend a graduate school. Now you don't have that anymore. It goes away. And the loans that you can take out as a graduate student now are going to be limited and capped at $100,000 for most degrees. And then for professional degrees like law school and medical school, it's going to be $200,000. But everyone knows that that is not a lot of money for grad school. Grad schools are extremely expensive, and people rely on those federal student loans because of all the different repayment options and good things available through getting federal student loans. There are going to be so many people who are going to have to rely on private student loans, predatory student loan companies, and that is going to be a huge problem. This is all effective July 1st, 2026. So you have time right now to plan and figure out how you are going to pay for all of this college that is not going to be covered by federal student loans. So I really recommend you follow me. My name is Sade, also known as a Scholarship Junkie, and I post a lot of college and scholarship content for you guys to apply to. And I have a free newsletter called the Scholarship Collective that you can also use to help you pay for your college, whether you're a grad student, undergraduate, doesn't matter. Definitely need to start planning for this now, because it's no longer a thought that, you know, this big beautiful bill may happen. It's happening. So it's either you get screwed or you start planning.
Why I'm not paying off my student loans as an MBA grad making $200K a year. I'll pay them off eventually, but here's why I'm not in a rush to do it. Let's say I took out a $100K loan and that I have 10 years to pay it back at a 6% interest rate. Let's also say that I have $100K sitting in my bank right now that I can use to pay back my loans, if only. The simple thing to do would be to take that $100K and pay off my loans, right? Think again. If I take my $100K to pay off the loan, I'm debt-free, but I also now have $0. If I invest my $100K, I'll make $160K in 10 years from compounding returns. Over the same time period, I need to pay back $135K on my loan principal and interest. Let's do the math. 160 minus 135 equals $25,000 that I made from not paying off my student loans immediately. Vivian from Your Rich BFF posted a video the other day about how we need to change the narrative on debt, because when rich people have debt, it's called leverage, and we celebrate them. So if you have student loans, you're not in debt, you're just levered.